We're about to finish up this episode of the Screen Team, but before we do, we are getting ready to review, I think, a pretty solid flick. And I've got the help here of Matt Whitworth to help me review it and to see whether or not he likes it. Now, this next movie is called Good Will Hunting. It's one of my all-time favorites. I've seen it a billion zillion times, but Matt has not seen it until this very first viewing here, and I want to kind of see what his thoughts are seeing it for the first time. So, Matt, we all know I love this movie. You saw it for the first time. What did you think?
It was fantastic, actually. This is one of those movies, I probably lost friends over not seeing it sooner. Like, everybody's reaction was, you haven't seen Good Will Hunting? Click.
Yeah, well, we almost kicked you out of the Screen Team. So.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair. In my defense, there is none. There's not really much to not like about this movie other than Ben Affleck's in it. And everybody who knows me knows my feelings on Ben Affleck, but I love Robin Williams.
Right.
So it was like, well, all right, I guess I love Robin more than I dislike Ben Affleck. So that was the trade-off. And, you know, Ben Affleck was fine in the movie. There's one fight scene. I got to nag on it. This is my one gripe about the movie. One major gripe, and it's not even that big. One of the fight scenes where, you know, the Southies, Matt Damon's group, his clique, including Ben Affleck and Casey Affleck, his younger brother, they go to beat up these other guys that were verbally assaulting and, you know, getting abusive with this woman. Mm-hmm. And it's a noble thing, even though it's illegal. The punches that the Afflecks throw are just, they've never thrown a punch in their life. There's no reason, before I get on a Batman versus Superman tirade again, there's just no reason I can justify this guy ever being in an action role. But other than that, fantastic film.
Okay, well, let's dive deeper into that scene. Mm-hmm. Is it the fact that you don't think they can throw punches, or do you think it's Gus Van Zant's direction of that scene? Because it's slow motion, and then it speeds up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Matt Damon looked great doing it, though.
Okay.
And he's very believable in an action scene, as we've known from the Bourne Identity movies. Mm-hmm. I just think the Afflecks have not a tough bone in their body. Mm-hmm. They don't know what it's like to be in a fight. But, you know, that's just me. And they're serviceable in the right role, and this is one of them. That was just a weak point. And Gus Van Sant, great director, you know. Yeah. Had a lot of other great movies with it, and this is, you know, one of them. I think the first time that he was on my radar actually was, you know, around this time. That's when I first heard of him. And, you know, again, fantastic film. That's one of my few nitpicks. Some critics have said that by today's standards, it's a bit, I wouldn't say by the numbers, but it's fairly predictable in its layout. But that's okay, because it's not necessarily the destination. It's the characters. It's the ride that we get to have with these characters.
All right, so you don't believe in Affleck's punching ability. Do you believe in his writing ability? Because both him and Matt Damon wrote the screenplay for this. What'd you think about that effort?
Yeah, I thought the dialogue was really well done. There's not really too much to nitpick there. I thought it was very believable for, you know, South Boston and for the upper class Boston as well, and how they, you know, pitted one against each other. I thought that again, all the professors, the dialogue from each character, they all felt real characters, but like exceptional characters, like if you were to meet them in real life. And that's kind of what you want a movie to be like. You want it to feel like it's real, suspend your disbelief, but you also want a reason to be invested in these characters. If it's someone that's kind of bland, well, they might be realistic, but why do I want to watch a movie on it?
Sure.
And this film, every character is utterly charming for the most part, especially Minnie Driver's character, probably her most charming role. I think that, I mean, it was just her full personality was on display. Very disarming in her approach with Matt Damon and their relationship. And it was not a traditional romance by any means, but it definitely hit a lot of the right notes. So it felt familiar without feeling cliched.
Sure. For those who don't know, the movie's called Good Will Hunting, and the story is about Will Hunting, played by Matt Damon, and Will Hunting is a genius.
Yes. Very,
very smart. He's got a photographic memory. He knows math like very few people do, but he didn't have the education that a lot of the other folks, from Harvard, or, he didn't have the big school education, and he lived in, like you said, the South Projects, and he kind of flew under the radar. Right. But he's a janitor at Harvard, and he kind of gets discovered in this movie.
He does, yeah. He's one of those characters that he has had very little in the way of aspirations or ambitions, because he grew up as an orphan, and anyone that he had gotten close to had kind of been taken away from him. The few people in his life, like Ben Affleck's character, like his brother Casey Affleck's character, and a few others, they're very blue-collar, but even though they don't have a whole lot to relate to, he clings to them because they would as Robin Williams' character puts it, would lay on the street for him.
Yeah.
They'd give up their life for him, and he appreciates that because he hasn't had a whole lot in the way of traditional family and friends and people that would put his benefits above their own.
So what's Robin Williams doing in this film? What is he doing to the story?
He is a professor of psychology, and his Stellan Skarsgård is his friend who also plays the mathematician, math whiz, who is well, it's not a Pulitzer or a Nobel Prize, but it's the equivalent, the math equivalent of that award winner. And they were college roommates, and so after Matt Damon's character, Will Hunting, had been in trouble with the law, Stellan Skarsgård's character is able to get him on parole with the premise that he spends some time with him each week going over math problems, and then also has to see a shrink. He has to see some professional help, see a therapist. Well, Matt Damon's character, being the genius that he is also very bored with this, and so he rejects every single one. One of the best renditions of Afternoon Delight, besides Anchorman, ever, because he's saying all the right things just to really, goad on these shrinks. And so finally, he gets to Robin Williams, an old friend of his that he knows can probably reach him. They're both from the South province of Boston, from the South region, rather. And they both were geniuses and both had a lot of just parallels in their time. And through their relationship, he's able to reach Matt Damon and really bring out the best in him.
Yeah, those are, to me, the best scenes in the movie, when you have Matt Damon and Robin Williams, playing off each other and, having a little give and take with each other. I thought out of the whole movie, those are definitely, to me anyway, the best scenes in the film. What are some of your favorite scenes?
One of the more iconic scenes is when they're sitting by the pond on the park bench, and then he discusses how I can't, and I'll clean it up for the show, but I can't learn anything from you that I can't read in some book. But unless you want to talk about yourself and really dive into who you are, then I'm all in.
Yeah,
and just moments like that. Robin Williams' character is one very much like his Dead Poets character, both sincere and funny, romantic and whimsical, and full of wit and wisdom.
Yeah.
What you think of when you think of Robin Williams is kind of like a patriarchal character. He feels like your father or a cool uncle or a grandfather figure, and this was a movie, even though it's R-rated, it still had a lot of that charm to it that a lot of his other more family-oriented films had for me. And so it was like going back and discovering that, and like getting to have like another conversation with an old friend.
Yeah,
watching these scenes.
Would you want to see it again?
Without a doubt.
Yeah. This movie did very well award season wise. It won Best Supporting Actor for Robin Williams. It also won Best Original Screenplay, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. It was nominated for Best Picture. It did not win that year. It did not win. It was one that could have won. Yes.
That or L.A. Confidential should have been the ones that won that year.
Yeah. What did win that year, Matt?
Titanic.
Titanic won that year, Matt.
Yeah.
It's a travesty.
It is. They both start with a T, so that's why it absolutely was a tragedy. Well, also, Minnie Driver was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Matt Damon nominated for Best Actor.
Sure.
And just a really fantastic film. And I don't know if Gus Van Sant, I'd have to check my notes, was nominated for Best Director. I want to say that he was.
I'm going to say he is. Let's put that down.
We're going to rewrite history.
We're going to put it down. A little side note for you. Minnie Driver played a character named Skylar.
Yes.
And she actually went out, the real person, Skylar, went out with Matt Damon. She ended up marrying Lars Ulrich of Metallica.
Really?
Look it up, kids. Google that. Google it.
Man.
All right. I think this is it for our review. I've got to go see About a Girl. So I'm going to go take care of that. He is Matt. I'm Chris. We're part of the Screen Team. And remember, we want you to know before you go.